wanted to tell you, I just loved your album. It was so good.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited. I hope that many people agree with you on that.
Well, you have a lot of experience. I did some research and looked at your other songs.
Mm.
Um, it's the it sounds like you've been doing this for a long time. Like, how did you get your start?
Yeah, so I started performing when I was about 12 years old. I play mandolin and guitar, and so I was with my family, traveling, playing at little churches and things like that. And then when I was 16, I was signed to Curb Records in Nashville. So I've actually been a recording artist since I was 16. So going on 20 years. And I've definitely taken long breaks and finished high school, did some time, went to Christendom college. And so did switch things up for a bit, but always writing and always doing at least part-time. But for the last 10 years, it's been very full-time.
So did you start with Christian Catholic music? Because I saw some of your, like, there's one called 6-2, and it's about finding your husband. And I really think that would resonate. Like, if I posted that like 5 years ago, I mean, even now, I just think that is such a great song for young women.
Yeah, I'm hoping actually that 6'2" will have a comeback in this world because I'm just starting to promote my music to my favorite audience, my Catholic audience, which is, who I am really. I love I've always loved doing Catholic conferences and events because, Jesus is there, right? Like the most important person is there. You are praying, you're meeting all these awesome people. So, but yeah, 6'2" was promoted to a pop audience and believe it or not, was played on pop radio. Like people were singing a prayer without knowing. And so I'm hoping, yeah, that more Catholic gals hear it now that I'm promoting my music to the Catholic world.
So I know that you just came out with an album called The Way of Love, and it's based on Saint Therese of Lisieux, which is amazing. Can you just tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I say that the Way of Love, that Saint Therese is the patroness of this album. That she has been such an inspiration to me in my life, and so I wanted to write a song about her and about her teaching. And I was reading one of her quotes where she says, "How sweet is the way of love," which is a very singable line. And she also talks about in this kind of longer passage about how sweet is the way of love that you may fail, you may fall, but God will take even those things and like guide you on your way. And he'll use that as stepping stones. And I have been so afraid in a way to really sing about my faith because of the fact that I just feel like I'm such a sinner. Like I see these Catholic speakers on the programs and I think like those people are all shiny and good and I'm just not just not good enough for it. But Saint Therese, I say she's a saint for sinners. She uh has helped me to tell the story of Jesus, to sing these songs, even in my brokenness. So yeah, so the way of love. When we walk on the way of love, it's okay if we fall. We can pick ourselves up and keep going.
What's the inspiration behind the musical aspect of it? Because you don't hear this kind of music that much anymore. I love it. Like, I love pop music. I love, I saw that you opened for the Backstreet Boys,
Mm-hmm.
Foo Fighters, and that's the kind of music that I grew up with. So, how did you come up with this musical inspiration?
Yeah, so I've always grown up playing folk music, but I love pop music too. And so I've always done folk pop and just because I play the mandolin, there's always kind of a country flavor to it. But really I like pop songs. And so I wanted to make music that is kind of different, especially because in the Catholic world, there's a lot of worship music, but there isn't kind of that singer-songwriter music that's about Jesus or about Our Lady or about Saint Therese. And so I thought, well, I'm sure there's people doing it. Maybe I haven't heard of them or whatever. I'll probably learn that I'm wrong. But just as far as I know, there's not a ton of Catholic singer songwriters. And so, yeah, I wanted to do that. And I grew up loving pop music and loving folk music. And this album, I just decided I didn't try to follow any trend because you're right, because this is a little throwbacky sound wise, but I just thought, here, I'm just going to do exactly what I want to do. And so I did.
Well, I mean, call me old school, but I don't even hardly I don't listen to newer music anymore because a lot of it is just, I don't like the style, you know?
Mm.
So something like this, it made me so excited to talk to you because I was like, this is like exactly my kind of music, you know?
That is so nice of you. Thank you. You're making my day. I love that. Well, I grew up with Christian singer-songwriters. So I listened to that was something that was normal. Like you could go to a show but you could also it was like prayerful, but you could also listen to it in the car. And it just kind of, yeah, it was different than maybe something that would be worship. And I loved that, so I knew I wanted to make that for hopefully other men and women that maybe are missing that music.
It reminds me a little bit of Nicole Nordman. Did you
So
listen to her?
Nicole Norman is my favorite.
Oh, I love
uh yeah,
her.
she's my favorite Christian singer songwriter of all time, so that's exactly what I wanted you to say.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, she's my inspiration, like really, to the way that she's a storyteller, she's a writer. And I've always my favorite uh performances by far are when I can tell the stories behind the songs and really bring that in and not just sing them, but actually talk. I remember seeing her when I was 14 and thinking, I want to do exactly that.
So how did you end up opening for the Backstreet Boys? Like, when did that happen?
Yeah. So I was very blessed that a pop station in Orlando was playing You're Not Alone, which was one of my singles. And the Backstreet Boys were performing at Disney World, and because Orlando was playing that song, we were able to get an in as the first opener. So the Plain White Tees are after me, and then Colby Calais. But because it was actually worked out really well, because the women had been waiting all day since like 7 in the morning. They like rushed the stage and were just so excited. So most of them didn't know who I was, but because they just knew that Nick Carter was like an hour away from them, that they just were like the most fun, awesome audience ever.
So did you get to meet them?
I got to meet them, and that they're the nicest celebrities I've ever met. I was with my really good friend Mary Kate, and they had like super nice catering and like this whole tea section, which makes sense, I guess, for their voices. But and it's like Brian and AJ watched my whole set, which was amazing. Which, like, a lot of times when I open for an artist, they're just in there hanging out with their friends and they don't even listen. So the fact that they were like watching it, and yeah, they were like, "Oh, do you girls want some tea?" Like they're like offering us their food. They're like, what do you have in your room? Do you want like our like food? We're like not going to eat all this." And it was really sweet. So I like their music more after meeting them because they were so nice.
How has opening for them
Mm-hmm.
and doing stuff for the Foo Fighters,
Mm-hmm.
um, and whatever other artists you may have met or opened for, how has that spread the word? I mean, and also it's Christian music. I mean, these aren't exactly Christian artists, so that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and also I always get them mixed up too, but Five for Fighting is who I've opened for. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It said
Yeah,
Foo
yeah.
Fighters on the
Oh,
press
do they say that? Oh, uh-oh.
or
Well,
maybe I got it mixed up.
no, we'll change. I'm glad you probably that's good because what's really interesting is that a lot it's funny how many artists are Christian. That you like the Backstreet Boys, like they're Christians. They don't play Christian music, but also I've opened for he won American Idol, I think like 12 years ago. His name's Chris Allen, and then it
Oh, I
works. So
remember him.
yeah. So I've done so many tours with him, and yeah, like he's like a really good Christian man. So it is interesting. And even Five for Fighting, like just like a really good family. And so it's just worked out that, and again, like I would actually say, so I don't think the wallflowers are Christian, and I did do that. So there'll be times when I'm not, but But in general, if they're saying yes to having me open, they kind of know like there's that it's going to be clean, at least, that kind of thing. And she's even when I was not promoting myself as a Catholic artist, everybody knew as soon as they met me that I was a Catholic. Um, so yeah, so usually just like a wholesome group of people I've been able to work with, which is amazing.
I
But
got
it's
it mixed up, by the way.
oh, you did? Okay.
Yes, that was my fault. Sorry.
You're so no, I mean, the weird thing too is like Fire for Fighting is not a band. It's actually like just a guy. So it's always people are always confused, like, are they nice? I'm like, well, it's only John, but yeah, he's nice. Um, but and what's really neat about all the opening opportunities is that maybe different than a lot of Catholic artists is that working in the secular world just like sharpens your skills and just a little different. And I like when I'm seeing an artist, a Catholic artist that also has worked in both because it's just we like when our own like I don't know, just go out and do different things too. So I think it's been helpful.
So, do you have any other Christian or Catholic artists that you're working with right now? I saw that you had something with Sarah Kroger.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. So I wrote Woman, which is the fifth song on the Way of Love album with Sarah Kroger and Sarah Hart. And Sarah Hart is a wonderful Catholic writer who is in a lot of the liturgy, like liturgical musical things that we would see at church. And then Sarah Kroger is a great Catholic artist. And so that was cool. And actually, Sarah Kroger wrote The Way of Love with me as well. So she's on two of the songs.
what is your favorite song on the album and why? What was the inspiration behind that?
So I'm kind of surprised by this because it wasn't my favorite at first, but my favorite song on the album is called Sweet Company. And Sweet Company was inspired by a quote that Tolkien, the writer Tolkien, a letter he wrote to his son, where he talks about how, like, contained in the Eucharist is all honor, glory, romance.
We're looking for. And um and so that has been such a beautiful thing to me. Like no matter where I am in the world or in my life, that the Eucharist is waiting for me and everything that I'm searching for is contained there. And as the church is now celebrating the Eucharist so much right now with the Eucharist revival, it's kind of yeah, really hitting home. And so I'm loving that song.
Now, why, I don't know if I asked you this already, but why did you choose Saint Therese as the forefront of this album?
Mm. Yeah. Saint Therese I think is a really important saint for our times. But again, like what I call her a saint for sinners. For me, I've just been really afraid to really go out and talk about my Catholic faith. And because I'm like, I can't, I'm too broken. And actually, I've been watching the series that so many people have, The Chosen. And I see like in the stories, like these disciples are not perfect, like very far from it. And Jesus chooses them. And so I felt confident that even in my brokenness, that his unbroken message can be proclaimed. But Therese had such an emphasis on the mercy of God. And that to me has just really been helpful, like just in my brokenness. And also, uh, you know, how important when you're promoting yourself, which is so awkward to go like to depend on Therese totally with her little way. So she had this whole idea that uh, give every little thing to God, right? And that in our littleness, like we can have eternity. And so it has kept me grounded because when you're trying to promote like your new music, you can feel like it feels weird. It's like everyone, hey, stop what you're doing and listen to me. And then you're frustrated if not every single person in the world didn't stop and listen to you. And I just like Therese is like, whoever hears you, no matter how little a number it is, there's eternal significance.
That's beautiful. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that I haven't asked that you'd just love to tell our audience?
Yeah. Well, something I'm super excited about, and I'm doing one soon, in Washington, D.C., which is close to where I'm from, is they're called The Way of Love musical presentations. And they are my music. And I interweave Saint Therese's life and teachings with each song. And I've been doing these at women's conferences, and I just loving it so much. So hopefully I'll come to whatever city you are living in right now, or whatever town, to your parish and do that. So just wanted to share that as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's beautiful.